hash the house on street 240. My cousin Dara disappeared 3 weeks after he moved into the rental house on street 240. And I was the last person to see him alive. It was a Thursday afternoon in late August when he called me, his voice tight with something I couldn't name. "Sopheak, can you come over? I need to show you something." We'd grown up together in Kampong Cam, shared the same grandmother who fed us rice porridge and ghost stories. Now we were both in Phnom Penh, trying to make it like everyone else from the provinces. The house sat behind a high concrete wall on a quiet street near Talcork. 3 stories, narrow like most Khmer houses, with that typical tannin brown tile facade. Nothing special. The kind of place you'd pass without a second glance. Dara had been excited to find it cheap rent, good location, his own bathroom. In Phnom Penh, that was practically luxury for a guy working at a mobile phone shop. I parked my moto outside and called his number. He came down immediately, unlocking the metal gate with shaking hands. That's when I noticed how thin he'd gotten. His collarbones jutted out above his t-shirt collar. "You look like shit," I said. "I'm not sleeping." He locked the gate behind me with 2 padlocks. "Come inside. I don't want to talk out here." The ground floor was dim despite the afternoon sun. A small sitting area with a wooden sofa, a kitchen in the back, stairs going up. Everything looked normal except for the smell incense, thick and cloying, burning in 3 different corners of the room. "Since when are you so religious?" I asked. Dara didn't answer. He led me upstairs to his bedroom on the 2nd floor. More incense here, and something else I recognized, eucalyptus oil. The kind my grandmother used to ward off bad spirits. Red cotton strings were tied around the door frame. "Bong," he said, using the term for older brother, even though I was only older by 2 months. "I need you to listen to me without thinking I'm crazy." I sat on his mattress. No bed frame, just a thin mattress on the floor, sheets tangled like he'd been fighting them. "What's going on? This house isn't right." He sat across from me, back against the wall, knees pulled up. "The landlady didn't tell me everything." "Tell you what?" "Someone died here," he swallowed. "Not just died, killed themselves, in the room upstairs." That gave me pause, but I tried to keep my face neutral. In Phnom Penh, in a city growing as fast as ours, probably half the rental houses had some kind of death in them. It was just statistics. "How do you know?" I asked. "The first week, I didn't notice anything, just normal. I'd come home, eat, sleep, go to work. But then I started waking up at 3 in the morning. Every night, exactly 3. He rubbed his face. At first, I thought it was just stress from the new job. But then I'd hear it. Hear what? Footsteps above me, in the empty room. The 3rd floor was supposed to be vacant. Dara had told me the landlady, a Chinese Khmer woman in her 60s, used it for storage. She lived somewhere else, collected rent once a month. "Could be rats," I said. That's what I thought. But rats don't walk back and forth, same pattern every night. And they don't drag things like furniture, heavy scraping sounds. His eyes were bloodshot. I went up there during the day to check. Nothing was moved. Everything exactly where it was before. I wanted to tell him he was imagining things. That lack of sleep could make you hear anything. But the fear in his eyes was real. Did you talk to the landlady? She won't answer my calls now. But I found out from the neighbor. He pointed at the wall we shared with the house next door. Old woman Ming Lai. She's lived here 20 years. She told me what happened. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo he'd taken of a news article. It was in Khmer from 3 years ago. The headline read, "Domestic Tragedy on Street 240. I read it quickly. A woman named Channary, 34 years old, had hanged herself in a rental house after her husband left her. She'd been dead for 5 days before the landlady found her. The article didn't specify which house, but it mentioned the street number. That's horrible, I said. But Dara, 3 years is a long time. Why would? That's not all. He took the phone back, hands trembling. Ming Lai said I'm the first tenant since then. The landlady couldn't rent it out. Everyone who came to look at it left quickly. Said they felt sick, got bad headaches. One guy said he heard crying from upstairs, so she stopped trying, let it sit empty. Then why rent to you? She needed money. Her son has medical bills or something. Ming Lai said she felt sorry for me because I seemed like a nice young man. He laughed bitterly. Nice and stupid enough not to ask questions. I looked around his room. Besides the incense and the strings, there were Buddhist amulets on the windowsill, a small image of the Buddha on the dresser. Dara had never been particularly religious before. I went to the pagoda last week, he said, talked to the monks. They gave me these. He gestured at the amulets. Blessed string, holy water. It helped for a few days, but it's getting worse. What do you mean, worse? He pulled up his shirt. I sucked in a breath. Bruises covered his ribs and stomach, not the normal kind, but strange, finger-shaped marks, like someone had grabbed him hard. I wake up with these every morning now. He dropped his shirt, and last night his voice broke. Last night I heard her. Heard who? The woman, Channary. She was crying. Not from upstairs this time. Right outside my door. He pointed at the closed bedroom door. I had my phone. I turned on the flashlight, but I was too scared to open it. I just sat here, listening to her cry until morning. The hair on my arms stood up. Dara, you need to move out. Tonight. Come stay with me until you find another place. I can't. What do you mean you can't? I signed a 6-month contract. Paid 3 months deposit. If I break it, I lose everything. That's 18,000 baht, Sopheak. That's all my savings. Fuck the money. This is your health. It's not just that. He looked at the window. The sun was setting, orange light streaming through. I don't think she'll let me leave. That's insane. She's dead. She can't. Then explain this. He grabbed a notebook from beside his mattress, thrust it at me. Read it. The notebook was filled with his handwriting, getting progressively messier. It was a log, dated entries from the past 2 weeks. August 14, woke 3:17 a.m. Footsteps upstairs, lasted 20 minutes. August 15, woke 3:00 a.m. Footsteps plus dragging sound. Checked upstairs at 8 a.m. Nothing moved. August 16, woke 3:00 a.m. Very cold. Footsteps stopped outside my door. August 17, didn't sleep. Kept light on all night. Heard crying at 3 a.m. anyway. August 18, tried to sleep at friend's house. Felt sick all day, had to come back. That last entry made me look up. You got sick. Fever, headache, throwing up. Got better as soon as I came back here. He wrapped his arms around himself. It's like she won't let me leave, even for one night. I flipped through more pages. The entries got worse. August 19, saw shadow in doorway, human shape. August 20, bruises appeared. Don't remember hitting anything. August 21, TV turned on by itself. 3 a.m. Static. August 22, she touched me. Felt hand on my face. Cold. August 23, found rope in my bed. I don't own any rope. The last entry was from that morning. August 24, she spoke. Said my name. Dara. I closed the notebook. We're leaving right now. I don't care about the deposit. You don't understand. A sound from upstairs cut him off. Both of us froze. It was a footstep, clear and distinct. Then another. Someone was walking across the 3rd floor. The landlady, I whispered. Dara shook his head, face white. She doesn't come here, ever. More footsteps, slow and deliberate. Back and forth, back and forth. Then, the dragging sound he described, something heavy being pulled across the floor. Could be a squatter, I said, but I didn't believe it. Neither did he. The dragging stopped. Silence. Then we heard the stairs creaking. Someone was coming down from the 3rd floor. Dara grabbed my arm. Don't open the door. We listened to the footsteps descend, one slow step at a time. They reached the 2nd floor landing, stopped outside Dara's room. The doorknob began to turn. I grabbed a textbook from the floor, the only thing nearby that could be a weapon. Dara pressed himself against the wall, mouth open in silent terror. The door swung open. Nobody was there. The landing was empty, dim in the dying light. I could see the stairs going up and down. Nothing moved, but the cold rushed in like we'd opened a freezer. My breath came out in visible puffs. In Phnom Penh, in August. Close it, Dara whispered. I slammed the door and locked it. We stood there, hearts pounding, staring at the wooden panels. A sound from the other side. Low at first, then rising. A woman crying, not sobbing worse than that. The sound of absolute despair, grief so deep it seemed to come from the earth itself. Channary, Dara whispered. That's her. That's what I heard. The crying stopped abruptly. Then a voice, muffled but clear. Why won't you talk to me? It was a woman's voice, sad and desperate. I'm so lonely. Please, just talk to me. Dara covered his ears. I wanted to do the same, but something kept me listening. I didn't mean to, the voice continued. I didn't mean to do it, but he left me. I had nothing. Do you understand? Nothing. A soft thump against the door, like someone leaning their weight against it. I'm still here. I'm still in this house. Please help me, please. Then crying again, fatting as if moving away. We heard the footsteps going back upstairs. Slow, heavy, defeated. When silence finally returned, I realized I'd been holding my breath. I sucked in air, lightheaded. Now do you believe me? Dara asked. I couldn't speak. I nodded. We left the room together, moving fast. I grabbed Dara's backpack, stuffed it with clothes and his phone charger. He was shaking so badly he could barely help. Within 10 minutes, we were on my moto, speeding away from Street 240. He stayed at my apartment that night. I lived in a small studio in Chuol Sve Pre. Nothing fancy, but at least there were people around, neighbors, noise from the street. Dara sat on my couch, staring at nothing, drinking instant coffee I made him. We need to do something about this, I said. Talk to a monk, or I don't know, an exorcist. I already tried monks. It didn't work. Then what do you want to do? He looked at me with hollow eyes. I don't know, but I can't go back there. You won't. You're staying here. We'll figure out the money later. He nodded, but without conviction. We watched TV until we were both exhausted. Then he took the couch, and I took my bed. I left the lights on. I woke at 3:00 a.m. to the sound of my front door opening. I shot up in bed, heart hammering. In the dim glow of the muted TV, I saw Dara standing by the door in his t-shirt and boxer shorts. He was opening the door. Dara, what are you? He walked out into the hallway. I jumped out of bed and followed him. He was heading for the stairs, moving with strange, jerky steps, like a puppet being pulled by strings. Dara, I grabbed his shoulder. He was ice cold. He turned to look at me. His eyes were open, but he wasn't seeing me. He was looking through me. I have to go back, he said in a flat monotone. She needs me. No, you're staying here. I tried to pull him back toward the apartment. He was surprisingly strong, resisting me with steady force. She's lonely, she said so. I have to go back. You're dreaming, wake up. I shook him. Nothing. His eyes stayed glassy and distant. Other doors in the building were opening now. Neighbors peering out at the commotion. An old man in the apartment across from mine shouted at us to be quiet. Sorry, I called back. Then to Dara, come inside, please. Let me go, he said, still in that awful flat voice. I need to help her. I didn't let go. We struggled there in the hallway until finally something changed in his eyes, awareness flooding back in. He gasped like he'd been underwater. Sopheak, what? He looked around, confused. Why are we? You were sleepwalking, trying to leave. Horror dawned on his face. I was going back to the house. Yes, she's in my head. His voice cracked. She's making me. He doubled over and vomited on the hallway floor. The neighbors started yelling again. I got him back inside, cleaned up the mess, apologized to everyone. When I came back in, Dara was sitting on the couch with his head in his hands. I felt her, he said, in my sleep. She was pulling me. I couldn't resist. We're going to a pagoda first thing in the morning. A real one with the head monk. They have to help us. But I was scared now. Really scared. If this spirit could reach Dara even away from the house, what chance did we have? The next morning, we went to Wat Aunalam near the river. The head monk, Lokta Kru, was an elderly man with kind eyes and a reputation for dealing with supernatural problems. We waited 2 hours to see him, sitting in the courtyard while other people went in and out of his quarters. When our turn came, Dara told him everything. The monk listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding. When Dara finished, Lokta Kru was silent for a long moment. This spirit is trapped, he finally said. Trapped by her own suffering. Suicides often are they die with such pain and confusion that they cannot move on. They don't understand they're dead, or they're too attached to the place where they died. Can you help him? I asked. I can try, but the spirit must be willing to accept help. If she is too far gone in her suffering, he trailed off, leaving the sentence unfinished. He gave Dara a new set of amulets, stronger ones, and blessed string to wear around his wrist and neck. Then he chanted protection sutras over him for nearly an hour, sprinkling holy water. By the end, Dara looked exhausted, but slightly more hopeful. Do not go back to that house, Lokta Kru said firmly. Not even to get your belongings. This spirit has formed an attachment to you. The longer you stay near her, the stronger it will become. What about the contract? The money I paid? The monk's expression was grave. Better to lose money than your life. Do you understand? This spirit is dangerous. She is lonely, yes, but that makes her more dangerous, not less. A lonely ghost will do anything to keep company. We thanked him and left. Dara seemed better after the blessing, but I noticed he kept touching the amulets around his neck, like reassuring himself they were there. I need to at least get my stuff, he said as we walked back to my modo. My laptop, my documents, my clothes. The monk said not to. I'll be quick, in and out. You can come with me. I should have said no. I should have insisted we follow the monk's instructions. But Dara had his whole life in that house, his work computer, his ID papers, his savings book. We couldn't just abandon everything. Fine, I said, but we go during the day. Maximum sunlight. And if anything feels wrong, we leave immediately. We went that afternoon, around 2:00 p.m. when the sun was highest. The house looked different in the bright light, less ominous. Just another narrow building on a crowded street. But when we unlocked the gate and stepped into the yard, the temperature dropped noticeably. Feel that? Dara whispered. I nodded. Even with the sun beating down, the air inside the compound was cold. We entered quickly. The ground floor was dark as before. All the incense had burned out, leaving only ash. We hurried upstairs to Dara's room. The door was open. We'd left it closed and locked. Dara stopped in the doorway. No, his room was destroyed. The mattress was shredded, foam scattered everywhere. His clothes were torn and thrown around. The mirror was shattered, and on the wall, written in what looked like ash or charcoal, were words in Khmer. Don't leave me. Fuck, I breathed. Fuck, we need to go. But Dara was already in the room, digging through the wreckage for his laptop. Help me find it. Dara, just help me. I started searching, throwing aside torn clothes and broken belongings. The laptop was under the destroyed mattress, miraculously intact. Dara shoved it into his backpack, along with some documents from his dresser. Then the temperature plummeted. It went from cold to freezing in an instant. I could see my breath, Dara's breath. The room was ice cold. The door slammed shut. We both spun around. The temperature kept dropping. Frost was forming on the inside of the windows. No, 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 Dara was whispering, backing away from the door. A shape materialized in front of it. At first, just a shadow, a dark outline. Then more solid, a woman. She was thin, wearing a white shirt and black pants, typical Khmer work clothes. Her hair hung long and wet-looking, covering much of her face. But I could see her eyes through the dark strands. They were desperate and pleading. You came back, she said. Her voice was the same one from yesterday, but clearer now, more present. I knew you would come back. Dara clutched his amulets. Please, let us go. We don't mean any harm. Harm, she tilted her head. The movement was wrong somehow, at the wrong angle. You want to leave me, again, just like he did. I'm not him. I'm not your husband. Everyone leaves. She moved closer, gliding rather than walking. Everyone says they'll stay, and then they leave. Why does everyone leave? I'm sorry, Dara said, and I could hear real sympathy in his voice, despite his fear. I'm sorry for what happened to you, but you need to move on. You're dead. You're keeping yourself here with your pain. Dead, she laughed, and it was the saddest sound I'd ever heard. If I'm dead, why do I still hurt? Why am I still here? Because you won't let go. Her form flickered, like a bad TV signal. When it stabilized, she was closer to us, only a few feet away. I could smell her now, damp earth and something rotten underneath. I can't let go, Don't you understand? This pain is all I have left. If I let go of it, I'll have nothing. I'll be nothing. That's not true, I found myself saying. There's peace. There's. She turned those eyes on me, and I stopped breathing. There was nothing human in them anymore, just endless, bottomless suffering. Peace, she reached out toward Dara. I don't want peace. I want someone to stay. I want someone to not leave. Her hand, and it was barely a hand anymore, more like a claw of shadow, touched Dara's face. He screamed. Where she touched him, his skin blackened like frostbite. I grabbed him and pulled him away from her, toward the window. We're leaving now. No, her scream was inhuman, a shriek that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The whole room shook. You don't leave me. The window shattered outward. I didn't think, just acted. I grabbed Dara and we jumped. It was only the second floor, maybe 10 feet. We hit the ground hard in the narrow space between the house and the wall. Pain shot through my ankle, but I barely felt it. I hauled Dara up and we ran for the gate. Behind us, we could hear her screaming. The sound followed us out of the house, into the street. People turned to stare, but they couldn't hear what we heard. They just saw 2 men running like their lives depended on it. We didn't stop until we reached my moto 2 blocks away. I drove us straight to the pagoda, weaving through traffic, ignoring traffic lights. Dara held on to me, his breath coming in gasps. The monk saw us immediately this time, took one look at Dara's blackened face, and ushered us inside. He performed another ceremony, more intensive this time, burning special incense and chanting in Pali. Other monks joined him. It took over 2 hours. When it was done, the black mark on Dara's face had faded to a bruise, but it was still there. The monks looked worried. This spirit is very strong, Loktakru said. Stronger than I thought. Her suffering has given her power, and she has marked you now. What does that mean? Dara asked. She has claimed you. In her mind, you belong to her now. The monk touched the bruise gently. This is her mark. As long as you carry it, she will be able to find you. How do I get rid of it? The monk exchanged glances with his colleagues. There may be a way, but it is dangerous. I'll do anything. You must confront her. Really confront her, not just flee. You must help her let go of her suffering, release her attachment. Only then will she release you. How am I supposed to do that? By giving her what she needs. Not what she wants. She wants company. Someone to stay with her in her misery. But what she needs is understanding. Compassion. Someone to acknowledge her pain and help her see that clinging to it only creates more suffering. Dara laughed bitterly. You want me to go back there and have a therapy session with a vengeful ghost. I want you to help her achieve what she could not achieve in life. Acceptance of impermanence, of suffering, of the need to let go. It is the only way to free both her and yourself. And if I can't, the monk's silence was answer enough. That night, Dara stayed with me again. I kept watch while he slept, afraid he would try to sleepwalk back to the house. But he slept fitfully, crying out in his dreams, and the mark on his face seemed to pulse with a faint, dark light. Around 3:00 a.m., he woke up gasping. "She was in my dream," he said. "She showed me." "Showed you what?" "How she died." His voice was hollow. "I saw everything." He described it haltingly. Channary had been alone in the house for 3 days after her husband left. She'd barely eaten, barely moved, just sat in the room on the 3rd floor, crying. On the 3rd night, she'd made her decision. She'd written a note, but then burned it, tied the rope to the ceiling beam, put it around her neck. She regretted it, Dara said. As soon as she stepped off the chair, she regretted it. But it was too late. She struggled, tried to get back up, but she couldn't. It took a long time. She was alone the whole time. That's horrible. That's why she's like this. She died in regret, in pain, in loneliness. And she's been stuck like that ever since, replaying it over and over. She can't move forward because she's trapped in that moment. The monk is right then. You have to help her. How? I'm not a monk. I'm just a guy who rented a room. But she's chosen you, for whatever reason. Maybe because you were kind to her, even when you were scared. You called her by her name. You said you were sorry. He was quiet for a long time. Then, if I do this, if I try to help her, I might not come back. Don't talk like that. I'm serious. If she pulls me in, if she drags me down with her. He looked at me with frightened eyes. Promise me you won't let me become like her. If something happens, if I don't make it, don't let me haunt that house too. Nothing's going to happen. Promise me. I promise. We planned it for the next day. We'd go back at 3:00 a.m. her time, when she was most active. We'd bring the monks amulets and holy water, but mainly we'd bring intention. Dara would try to talk to her, really talk to her, and help her find peace. It was a crazy plan. We both knew it. But what choice did we have? The day passed in a blur. We went to the markets, bought offerings, fruit, flowers, incense, candles, things to show respect. Dara barely ate. I forced him to have some soup, but he threw most of it up. The mark on his face was spreading, dark veins creeping down his neck. At 2:30 a.m., we arrived at the house on Street 240. The street was dead quiet, just the distant sound of dogs and the hum of air conditioners. We unlocked the gate and stood in the yard. You don't have to come in with me, Dara said. Shut up, I'm coming. We entered together. The house was freezing even in the entryway. Our breath came out in clouds. We arranged the offerings in the ground floor sitting room, fruit on a plate, flowers in a glass of water, candles lit and placed carefully around. Incense burning. Then we climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor, Dara's destroyed room. We climbed again to the 3rd floor. The door to the storage room was open. Inside was nearly empty, just some old furniture covered in dusty sheets, boxes stacked in corners. But in the center of the room, we could see the ceiling beam, and dangling from it, barely visible, the outline of a rope. It wasn't really there, but it was there, a ghost of what had been. Channary, Dara called out softly. I'm here. I came back. Silence. Then the temperature dropped even further. The candles downstairs flickered, but stayed lit. She appeared slowly, materializing in the corner of the room. She looked more solid now, more real, and sadder, if that was possible. Her eyes were red from crying. You came back, she whispered. I came to talk to you, to help you if I can. Help me, she laughed that sad laugh. No one can help me. I'm dead. I've been dead for 3 years. I know, but you're still here. You're suffering. Of course I'm suffering. Do you think death ends suffering? It doesn't. It just goes on and on and on. She moved closer, and I saw that she was crying. I thought it would end. When I died, I thought the pain would stop. But it never stops. It can stop, Dara said gently. But you have to let it go. Let what go? The pain, the anger, the loneliness. Everything that's keeping you here. If I let it go, I'll disappear. I'll be nothing. No, you'll move on to whatever comes next. Peace, rebirth, I don't know. But this, he gestured around the room, this isn't living. This isn't even death. This is just trapped. She was in front of him now, close enough to touch. You don't understand. He left me, my husband. He said he loved me, and then he left. How do I let that go? I don't know. But holding on to it is hurting you. And it's hurting others now too. She looked at the mark on his face. I did that. I didn't mean to. I just wanted you to stay. I know, but you can't make people stay. Not in life, not in death. People come and go. That's part of existence. Impermanence. I hate impermanence. Her voice was small, childlike. I hate that things end. Everything ends, but everything also begins again. The monks say that. Fuck the monks, she screamed suddenly, and the room shook. Boxes fell over. Dust rained from the ceiling. They don't know. They sit in their temples and they talk about suffering and letting go, but they don't know what it's like. This pain, this loneliness. You're right, Dara said, and his voice broke. I don't know exactly what you went through, but I know pain. I know what it's like to feel alone. We all do. She stared at him. Slowly, her anger faded back into sadness. Tell me about him, Dara said. Your husband. What was he like? It was the right question. She started talking. At first haltingly, then faster. She told us about meeting him, falling in love, getting married. The early years were good. They were happy. But then he changed, got distant, started staying out late. She suspected another woman, but couldn't prove it. I asked him if he still loved me, she said. He couldn't answer. He just looked away. And I knew. Right then, I knew he was gone, even though he was still there. What happened then? I begged him to stay. I did everything. Changed how I dressed, cooked his favorite foods, tried to be who he wanted. but it didn't matter. One day I came home from work and his things were gone. Just a note saying he was leaving. Didn't even say why. Didn't even say sorry. That must have hurt so much. It killed me. Even before I died, it killed me. She looked at her hands. I kept thinking, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? I kept calling him, but he blocked my number. I went to his work, and he told security to keep me out. It was like I didn't exist anymore. Like our entire life together meant nothing. It meant something to you, Dara said. That's what matters. Does it? If it only meant something to me and not to him, did it really mean anything at all? Yes, your feelings were real. Your love was real. Just because he couldn't return it anymore doesn't make it less real. She was crying again, silent tears streaming down her face. I don't know how to let him go. I don't know how to let any of it go. Start with forgiveness. Forgive him. No, forgive yourself. She looked up sharply. What? You're angry at him, yes. But you're more angry at yourself for not being enough, for not seeing it coming, for choosing to end your life. You're punishing yourself by staying here, replaying it all over and over. She faltered. I don't. You made a choice in a moment of unbearable pain. It wasn't the right choice. You know that now. You regretted it immediately. But you were hurting so badly, you couldn't see any other way out. I was so stupid. You were suffering. There's a difference. I ruined everything. I could have moved on, found someone else, built a new life. But instead she gestured at herself. I became this. You did, but you can still choose differently now. You can let go. You can forgive yourself and move on. I'm scared. Her voice was so small. I'm scared if I let go, I'll just disappear. I'll be nothing. Or, Dara said softly, you'll be free. We stood there in silence. I don't know how long. The candles kept burning downstairs. The night pressed in around us. And Channary stood there, this lost spirit, wrestling with a choice she should have made 3 years ago. Finally, she spoke. Will you stay with me while I try? Yes. Will you hold my hand? Dara hesitated. I wanted to tell him no, that it was too dangerous. But he extended his hand anyway. She reached out and took it. Where they touched, frost spread up Dara's arm. He gasped in pain, but didn't let go. I'm scared, she said again. I know, but you're not alone. Not this time. She closed her eyes. Her form started to flicker more intensely, like a flame in the wind. The temperature in the room somehow dropped even further. I could see ice crystals forming on the walls. It hurts, she whispered. Letting go hurts. I know, but holding on hurts more. The frost was spreading up Dara's shoulder now. His lips were turning blue. I stepped forward, but he shook his head at me, a tiny movement. Stay back. I loved him so much, Channary said. Even after everything, I still loved him. I know. That's the worst part. Not the leaving, but that I still loved him after he was gone. How do you stop loving someone I don't think you do. Not completely. But you can accept that they're gone, that you have to release them. Her form was becoming more transparent. I could see through her to the wall beyond. What if there's nothing after this? She asked. What if I let go and there's just nothing? Then at least you'll be at peace. No more pain, no more waiting, just peace. I don't remember what peace feels like. Then it's time to find out. She looked at him with those sad, sad eyes. Thank you for coming back, for listening. No one listened before. I'm listening now. Tell him. She stopped. No, it doesn't matter. He's moved on. I should too. The room was starting to warm. Just slightly, but noticeably. The frost on the walls began to melt. I forgive you, she said suddenly. Husband, wherever you are, I forgive you for leaving. I forgive you for not loving me anymore. I forgive you. Her voice was getting fainter. And I forgive myself for not being strong enough, for choosing death, for staying here so long. I forgive myself. She was almost completely transparent now. Just a shimmer in the air, a suggestion of a shape. Thank you, she said to Dara. The words were barely a whisper. Thank you for staying. Then she was gone. The room was silent, empty. The rope that had been hanging from the ceiling beam, the ghost rope, was gone too. Just a normal storage room now, dusty and unused. Dara collapsed. I caught him before he hit the floor. His skin was ice cold, his breathing shallow. But he was alive. I checked his face. The mark was fading, getting lighter even as I watched. Dara, Dara, can you hear me? His eyes fluttered open. She's gone. Yeah, she's gone. I felt it when she let go. It was like something breaking, but in a good way. I helped him to his feet. He was weak, shaking, but he could stand. We made our way downstairs carefully. The house felt different now. Warmer, lighter. The oppressive weight that had been pressing down was gone. The candles on the ground floor were still burning. The offerings untouched. We sat there for a few minutes, neither of us speaking, just catching our breath. Do you think she's okay? Dara finally asked. Wherever she is now. I think so. I hope so. We left the offerings there. It felt wrong to take them back. Maybe they'd help other spirits in the house, if there were any. Or maybe they'd just be a memorial to a woman who suffered too much and finally found peace. Outside, the sky was just starting to light. Dawn was coming. We stood in the yard, breathing the cool morning air. I'm never renting this place again, Dara said. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The release of tension was too much. No shit. Think the landlady will give me my deposit back. After all this, you can fucking try. We locked the gate behind us and drove back to my apartment. Dara slept for 14 hours straight. When he woke up, the mark on his face was completely gone. No bruise, no trace, like it had never been there. He moved into a new place 2 weeks later, a studio apartment in a modern building with lots of light and lots of neighbors. He lost his deposit on the house on Street 240. The landlady refused to return it, claimed he broke the contract, but he didn't care. Some things were worth more than money. The house stayed empty after that. The landlady eventually sold it, took a loss. I heard through Ming Lai, the neighbor, that the new owners did a Buddhist ceremony before moving in, had monks come and bless every room. They've lived there for 2 years now, without incident. Sometimes I think about Channary. Wonder where she is now, if she found whatever comes after. If she was reborn into a new life, one without so much pain. I hope so. Dara doesn't talk about it much. When people ask about that month, he just says he had a difficult roommate situation and had to move. But sometimes, late at night, when we're drinking beer on my balcony, he'll mention her. "You know what the worst part was?" he said once. Not the scary stuff, not the hauntings or the fear. It was realizing how much she suffered, how alone she was, and how easy it would be for any of us to end up like that. We're not going to end up like that. How do you know? Life is hard. People leave. Things fall apart. What if we have a moment like she did, when the pain is too much and we can't see any way out? Then we remember her. We remember that there's always another way. That pain doesn't last forever, even when it feels like it will. He nodded slowly. Yeah, maybe you're right. But I could tell he was still thinking about it. We both were. Because that's the real horror, isn't it? Not ghosts or spirits or things that go bump in the night. It's the pain that living people carry, the suffering that can become so unbearable that death seems like the only escape. And the tragedy of learning, too late, that it wasn't. I drive past Street 240 sometimes. The house looks normal now, lights on, laundry hanging from the balcony, a motorbike parked in the yard. Just another house in a city full of them. You'd never know what happened there. Never know a woman suffered and died there, trapped herself there for 3 years before finally finding release. But I know Dara knows, and we carry that knowledge with us. A reminder to be kind, to listen, to reach out to people who are suffering, because you never know how close someone might be to the edge. And sometimes, on nights when I can't sleep, when the darkness presses in and my own loneliness feels heavy, I think about what Dara told Channary, that everything ends, that impermanence is part of existence, that we have to learn to let go. It's a hard lesson, maybe the hardest, but it's the only way forward, the only way to be free. I saw Dara last week. He's doing better now, gained back the weight he lost, got promoted at work, even started dating someone. We met for lunch at a noodle shop near the riverside. I got a weird call yesterday, he said halfway through his soup. Yeah, from the landlady, the one from Street 240. I put down my spoon. What did she want? She apologized. He shook his head like he couldn't quite believe it. Said she was sorry for not telling me about what happened. Said she was desperate for money and convinced herself it would be fine. What did you say? I told her I understood, that I forgave her. He smiled slightly. Figured if Channary could forgive, I could too. That's good of you. She told me something else, though. Something weird. After I left, she went to check on the house. She said she found something in the third-floor room. A piece of paper tucked behind one of the boxes. Really old, yellowed. The suicide note. Yeah, but she said it wasn't what she expected. It wasn't angry or bitter, just sad. Channary wrote that she was sorry for giving up, sorry for not being strong enough to keep going. And at the end, she wrote, I hope whoever finds this knows that I tried. I really tried. We sat in silence for a moment. Around us, the noodle shop buzzed with lunchtime conversation, the clink of spoons against bowls, the hiss of the kitchen. Normal life continuing, oblivious. The landlady burned it, Dara continued. Gave the ashes to the monks to bless. Said it felt like the right thing to do. The last piece of Channary's pain finally put to rest. Good. Yeah, he went back to his noodles. Then, I still have dreams about her sometimes. Not nightmares, just dreams. We're sitting in that room talking, and she's smiling. Really smiling, not that sad ghost smile. And she says thank you, and then I wake up. You think it's really her. No, I think it's just my brain processing everything. But it's nice anyway. Feels like closure. We finished our lunch and went back to our separate lives. But as I rode my moto through the afternoon traffic, I thought about what he'd said. About trying. About forgiveness. About letting go. Maybe that's all any of us can do. Try our best. Forgive ourselves when we fall short. And learn to let go of the things that hurt us before they trap us in our own private hauntings. The house on Street 240 is just a house now. And Channary is just a memory growing fainter with time. But the lessons remain. The reminder that suffering is real, that loneliness can kill, that we all need to watch out for each other, because the real ghosts aren't the ones that haunt houses. They're the ones we carry inside ourselves. The pain we won't release, the attachments we refuse to let go. And until we learn to free those ghosts, we're all just living in haunted houses, waiting for someone to help us find the way out.